Call the governing board meeting to order for Liberty Elementary School District today, August 11th, 2025 at the Jerry Rovey District Facility. 5 board members are present: Ms. Schmidt, Ms. Zimmerman, Vice President Kenyon, Board Member Strincioni, myself, Michael Todd. Next item of business is item 1.2, the Pledge of Allegiance. And I think we'll start with Vice President Kenyon, if you can lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Liberty Elementary School District Governing Board meeting. We appreciate your interest in the district. The 5 elected governing board members serve without compensation and volunteer countless hours on behalf of our students and staff. The president and the vice president of the board are elected in January. Under state law, the governing board may only discuss and vote on matters that are on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Agendas are posted a minimum of 24 hours in advance on the Liberty Elementary School District webpage and at the Jerry Rovey District Complex. Copies of tonight's agenda are located in the foyer and on the district webpage. If you wish to make a public comment, please complete a request to address the board form and submit it to the board secretary before the meeting starts. These forms are located in the foyer prior to entering the governing board room. Members of the public will be given up to 3 minutes to speak at the discretion of the board president. Once recognized, please state your name and if you live inside or outside of the district. During the call to the public may speak on any item of business on the agenda that requires the board to take action. The public may also speak to the governing board about a school district matter that is not on the agenda. State law prohibits board members from commenting on or discussing the matters presented at the end of the call to the public. However, the board may ask the superintendent to review the issue or place it on a future agenda. A board member may also briefly respond to criticism of a board member or the governing board itself. We ask that all speakers show respect and courtesy to others. Comments must pertain to a matter that is within the jurisdiction of the governing board. This is not an appropriate forum to complain about an employee, student, or others. We also ask the public who are present for the meeting to be respectful by being attentive, avoid calling out or creating any disruption that may interfere or interrupt the meeting. Individuals who interrupt or interfere with the meeting may be asked to leave by the board president. Inappropriate language and repetition will not be permitted. Thank you for allowing this meeting to be conducted in a peaceful and productive manner, and thank you for your attendance and involvement in tonight's meeting.
Members, our next item on the agenda is 1.3, approve the regular agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the regular agenda form consistent with Board Policy 1-302 and temporarily suspend governing board policy with which this agenda may be inconsistent.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second for item 1.3. If there's no discussion, we'll take a vote. Board Member Schmidt.
Aye.
Board Member Zimmerman.
Aye.
Vice President Kenyon.
Aye.
Board Member Strincioni.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that approved 5 yes, 0 no. Next will be item 2.1, Superintendent Update. Mr. Trevor McDonald, our interim superintendent.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Just a couple quick pieces here. As you all know, we wrapped up week 1, and I think there was, probably, I don't know everybody in this room, but I know that I'm sure everybody in this room can agree, a lot of energy on the campuses, a lot of enthusiasm, and like it is every year at the beginning of school, a lot of encouragement and looking forward. So I said it when I was appointed, and I'll keep saying it. We focus on kids, we keep the focus on kids, and we keep moving forward. Do we have challenges? Of course. Can we overcome challenges? The answer to that is, of course, too. So what I felt, and I'm sure everybody, board members and folks that I talk to and kids that I talk to, is great excitement on the campuses. Kids are happy to be back. Even, you know, sometimes an air conditioner might not have been working the best in a room. Well, they quickly rotated to another room and made it happen. And again, I think that's a testament to our students, but also what we can learn from kids, right, is they adapt and they continue to move on. So we'll do the same thing, but just great energy, great enthusiasm, and just a lot of smiles, and it was a real positive. So look forward to many of those weeks and continuing to focus on kids. And then just a quick order of business. I know I've talked to board members and folks, we have 2 meetings scheduled per month, but one's a special board meeting. I just want folks to know that isn't always going to be, that's not a guaranteed meeting. That may happen. So I know when I looked at the list of them, I was thinking, woo, there's a lot of meetings here. And at times they will, but also it's not a guaranteed. So just to, you know, be fully transparent. And obviously the public and we'll all know in advance. So they're on there for an at-need basis, and if we don't need one, then we move on to the next one. So again, look forward to getting into those schools and just continuing to focus on kids in a real positive manner. So I appreciate being here, and thank the board and everybody that I've met, and continue to really push forward. Thank you.
Okay, members, that moves us on to item 2.2. Findings and board apology regarding board member Zimmerman and formal apology from the board. Members, this is listed under board docs as a discussion and information item. I would caution ahead of time that we really can't discuss this because it was executive session. We spoke with legal about this. This is just a limitation of board docs. This is for information only. Legal has advised me to read the following statements, so I will do that. Mr. Dangerfield, do you have anything you want to add before we start? Okay. The first statement is dated July 14th, 2025. Respondent is Kelly Zimmerman, governing board member. The investigator is James Ledbetter. Regarding a report of investigation. This letter will serve as the findings regarding responsibility or the lack thereof in the investigation of board member K. Zimmerman, hereinafter respondent. The complaint was originally given to the district's counsel, Clyde Dangerfield, on Thursday, April 24th, 2025. Thereafter, the complainant requested that an investigation not occur. However, based on subsequent interactions between respondent and complainant, the complainant has requested an investigation. This investigation took some considerable time, as many witnesses were away for summer vacation. The written complaint raised the issue of possible racism. During the investigation, several witnesses raised concern about a hostile work environment created by respondent. The witnesses also emphasized that respondent shows a lack of professionalism and respect during governing board meetings. Several witnesses commented that if they treated governing board members in the same or similar manner, they would be subject to termination. The investigator also received emails from many sources and reviewed hours of recorded governing board meetings. The standard of evidence employed during the investigation was preponderance. Roman numeral 1, allegations investigated. A, whether respondent is treating the complainant inappropriately as a result of race. B, whether the respondent's conduct during governing board meetings rises to the level of a hostile work environment. And C, whether the respondent has violated district policies regarding professionalism ethics. Number 2, investigation procedures. 3 board members were interviewed and were part of this investigation. 8 current and former district employees were also interviewed. 2 witnesses who provide services to the district were also interviewed. In total, 10 witness interviews occurred. All witnesses that were identified by either the claimant or the respondent were also interviewed. The claimant and respondent were both interviewed twice and each have sent emails for consideration. Turning to the legal standard, harassment is a form of employment discrimination that violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Harassment becomes unlawful when the employee endures offensive conduct, and enduring the offensive conduct becomes a condition of continued employment, or the conduct is so severe or pervasive that it creates creates a work environment that a reasonable person would consider intimidating, hostile, or abusive. The law also notes that petty slights, annoyances, and isolated incidents do not rise to the level of illegality. To be unlawful, the conduct must create a work environment that is intimidating, hostile, or offensive to a reasonable person. The harasser can be a supervisor from another area, an agent of the employer, a coworker, or a non-employee. When analyzing cases that arise from the conduct of elected school board members, jurisdictions have consistently held that a school board member is analogous to a supervisor, and therefore he or she can create a hostile work environment. Workplace harassment must be linked to a protected status such as race, gender, age, ethnicity, or national origin. The investigator did not substantiate by a preponderance of the evidence that respondents' treatment of the complainant was racially motivated. Accordingly, any finding of workplace harassment is not sustained. In other words, there was insufficient evidence linking respondents' unprofessional and often abusive conduct to a protected classification. The vast majority of school board members are dedicated public servants doing a difficult job for no compensation. Like all elected officials, there are some who abuse their power. Without question, respondent seriously humiliates leaders, district employees, treating them with a level of contempt that has bred a toxic work environment. However, this wholesale lack of professionalism and breach of district's ethical standards does not meet the legal definition of workplace harassment as noted below. In Arizona, school board members are tasked with representing the community as a whole with consideration of diverse perspectives. Board members' ultimate responsibilities are to the educational welfare of the students and to act within the collective authority of the board, making decisions based upon what is in the best interest of the district rather than catering to individual or special interest groups. See the Arizona School Board Association Code of Ethics for School Board Members. This investigation has concluded the respondent does not respect or follow the standards found in the agreement entitled Liberty Elementary School District Governing Board Superintendent Operating Procedures dated February 3rd, 2025. The respondent voted in favor of and signed this policy. The evidence established multiple violations of the operating standards as it defines professionalism. Of particular note, the standards provide a board member will encourage others to represent their own issues, problems, or proposals in a constructive manner. The board will limit its involvement in planning, policymaking, and public relations rather than becoming involved in the management of the schools. Conduct at a board meeting is very important. We agree to avoid words and actions that create negative impressions on an individual, the board, or the district. While we encourage debate and differing points of view, we will do it with civility, care, and respect to avoid an escalation of negative impression or incidents. Board members must remember that they must remain fair and impartial in all situations. Communications and board language at the board dais are handled by all on the governing board superintendent team in a professional manner. Each of the above statements in the standards have been either ignored or openly violated by the respondent. Section 3, findings. As there was insufficient evidence of a nexus between the respondent's conduct and a protected status, the allegation of racially motivated workplace harassment is not sustained. However, the lack of professionalism and the repeated breaches of the board's ethical standards, as signed by all board members on February 3rd, 2025, is sustained. In fact, the ethical breaches and lack of professionalism are sustained by clear and convincing evidence rather than a preponderance. There is no doubt, and the investigator agrees with the observations made by the interviewed district employees. If an employee acted in the same manner as the respondent, they would reasonably anticipate termination. As captured on video and repeatedly discussed during the interviews, the respondent's conduct evidenced serial unprofessionalism and hostility. Sincerely, James Ledbetter, the Ledbetter Law Firm. The second document to be read is dated July 27, 2025, which follows the motion that was made at the last meeting. To the community administrators, educators, and employees of Liberty Elementary School District number 25. As the governing board of Liberty Elementary School District number 25, we write to formally acknowledge and address recent events that have caused disruption and distress within our school community. Pursuant to the governing board operating standards, which all board members have pledged to uphold, we are committed to encouraging the constructive presentation of ideas and concerns and to conducting ourselves with civility, care, and respect at all times. These standards are not mere guidelines. They are foundational to maintaining trust, professionalism, and collaboration in the service of our students, staff, and community. Regrettably, Board Member Kelly Zimmerman has repeatedly failed to honor these commitments. Her conduct at governing board meetings has been confrontational, combative, and unprofessional, falling far short of the expectations we hold for ourselves as public officials. Her behavior has contributed to a hostile and disruptive environment, and it has disrespected the dedicated employees and engaged citizens who support our district's mission. Such actions are incompatible with the values and standards that this board has adopted. We unequivocally affirm that district employees and members of the public deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, especially in public forums where differing opinions should be expressed constructively, not with hostility or personal attacks. While individual members are responsible for their conduct, the board as a whole regrets the impact that this behavior has had on our district. We recognize the harm that has been caused and express our deep apology to those who have been subject to or affected by it. We call upon Ms. Zimmerman to take full responsibility for her action and to issue a public apology to the district employees and the Liberty Elementary School District Number 25 community. Furthermore, we urge her to recommit to the principles outlined in our board operating standards and take meaningful steps towards restoring the trust and integrity of this governing board. Moving forward, we remain committed to fostering a respectful, professional, and student-focused environment in all our work. We value the strength of our community and staff and are dedicated to rebuilding the positive and productive culture that the Liberty family deserves. With respect and accountability, signed, Michael Todd, President, on behalf of the Governing Board, Liberty Elementary School District Number 25. Our next item is 3.1, Governing Board.
I'd like to make a comment, please.
Okay.
You know, it's unfortunate that the board president didn't reach out for my statement so that it could have been added to this agenda item to be discussed along with the board's letter. When the draft was sent out to the board, this agenda item was not yet added to the agenda. Therefore, I did not have the opportunity to know this agenda item was going to be on the agenda before it was made live to the public. I'd be happy to provide the board secretary with it so the district can have it. I recognize and apologize that I have upset someone in the district. That is certainly never my intention. I always strive to speak with respect, something that I think all board members should do, and we should all be held to the same standard. Ultimately, as a board member, I am accountable to the constituents, and they will have the opportunity to evaluate my work as a governing board member in 3.5 years when my term is up. While I have several differences of opinion with the board president and board members who wanted to move forward with this action against me, my attention has never wavered from the work this board should be doing for students and families of this district. I will continue to ask the hard questions because I was elected to do so. I am moving forward as I always have to support the staff and teachers of this district and work collaboratively with them and my fellow board members to achieve the district's mission by ensuring all students have the opportunity to learn at the highest level.
Okay, we'll move to item 3.1, Governing Board Update. Ms. Schmidt.
My update is pretty short this time. I did have an opportunity to attend the district kickoff with all of the staff at Estrella Foothills, which was a pretty fun hour of my day that I got to take away from my job and go hang out and hand out some raffle prizes to employees who won. So that's always fun. Sorry to those who I did not pull. There were a lot of tickets in that bucket and they were all jammed together. So I tried my best. And then I wanted to say about that kickoff that I really enjoyed. Like I said, I really enjoyed that. It was about 45 minutes. I think it was a perfect amount of time. And hearing from the staff members who got up to speak and to let us know why they enjoyed working in this district and why they were here. Some of them were short and sweet, some of them were funny, and some of them were really heartfelt. Like, I walked out of there with like a lump in my throat after one of the teachers spoke. She just spoke so well about why she loved working here. So it meant a lot to me to be there, and I really enjoyed spending that hour with everyone. And I look forward to all the things that are coming for the school year.
Board Member Zimmerman.
Yeah, I just have a couple things as well. I wanted to welcome Mr. McDonald officially because I was not here when his contract was approved, and just thank him for the leadership he has provided the district as we've gotten off to the school year. I know the staff is appreciative, and I'm appreciative of his laser focus on students, and grateful to have that leadership in the superintendent. And I know that he will continue to push this district forward and ensure that the board and the district and the staff all work together to achieve our mission. I also was able to go to the kickoff. It was really great to have the opportunity to do that and to see the district together. I really appreciate the warm welcome that I was given by staff. It's truly apparent that staff feels like their voices are heard by me and that they're represented, and I'm so grateful for their support. And I just want to thank the teachers that, really worked hard to get that first week through. It's not easy, kindergarten to 8th grade. It's a lot of work, and the teachers really are the heartbeat of this district. We could not do this without you. So we're just so appreciative. And of course, all the people behind the scenes, that help allow the teachers to do what they need to do. Thank you.
Vice President Kenyon.
Yeah, thank you, President Todd. I was also at the district kickoff. It was a great event. There was tons of energy there. It was a lot of fun. And it was just a great to see all the smiling faces, everybody happy and excited, getting ready. I think it was stated there, and it's probably pretty obvious that most staff didn't really want to be there. They want to be in their classrooms getting ready. But it was still a great time, and it was... we gave out a lot of gift cards and a lot of prizes at the end, and I think, but I appreciate Superintendent McDonald's speech he gave. I think it really resonated with a number of people there. I heard afterwards a couple people come up to me and they were just, they took that to heart. So thank you for that, and all the staff that spoke. That was a wonderful time. I was able to just see what's going on in the district, just driving around the campuses. I want to thank Bob for your team, the maintenance crew. The campuses are looking really good, even though there's a lot of energy on there. They're still in one piece. There's a lot going on. I know sports and extracurricular activities are kicking off this week. I know there's a lot going on, but one of the things I would like to do is I would like to, President Todd, before we're done with, we don't have to do it now, but maybe at the end of yours, I would like to have a moment of silence for the gentleman who lost his life over by the Loretta Zumbro campus just recently. So if we could do that at the end, that would be fine.
We can do that. Board Member Ciancioni.
Unfortunately, I was not able to make it to the kickoff. As many know, this time of year we have mandatory trainings that we just can't get out of sometimes. So I had to go to that. I do want to thank the staff, the parents, community, everybody that was involved this first week of school. They made it fairly smooth, and the transition for the kids to get back. So I thank you for that.
I, as well, was not able to make it to the welcome back. I did get to go to the new employee orientation, and I just wanted to say what a great event that was. Ms. Michelle May and the rest of the education services put together a great program. First day was fantastic, and really exciting to meet all the new employees who are coming to the district, who are excited to be here. They have lots of options of where to go. There's no hiding that there's vacancies across the state for teachers, and when they choose our district, it's a true compliment, and it's an honor to represent them and everybody else that we represent here on the board. For the most part, as Mr. McDonald alluded earlier, occasionally we have an air conditioner or something that decides to quit working the first day of school, but I just want to thank Mr. Bob Young and his staff for having everything ready to go to the best that it could. So thank you. To Dondi over in transportation, the buses ran, and really, I think this is the first year we didn't have a lot of complaints. There's always somebody who calls to complain, and they typically misunderstand the bus route or something. But this year, it went smooth, so I appreciate that. And I know it's a lot of work trying to figure out how to pick every one of our students up. As well, I was already planning on recognizing the tragedy that happened outside the Loretta Zumbro school, so I think it's appropriate this time. We'll take that moment of silence that was requested and keep the worker and his co-workers and family in our thoughts. Okay, thank you for that. We will now move on to item 4.1, our public comment. I think we have about 17, is that correct?
16, I
we're-
think.
We're looking at about a little over an hour probably for this. Just a couple guidelines as referenced earlier. It's pursuant to ARS 38431-01. Governing board may conduct an open call to the public, but may not discuss or take legal action on a matter raised during a call to the public unless the matter has been placed on the meeting agenda. The time for public comment, members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. Individual public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. Your time will be up there on the clock. We ask at 3 minutes, the microphones will be muted. And if you can please step away from the microphone and let the next person speak.
Okay, President Todd, the first speaker will be Suzanne McAvoy.
Hi, my name is Suzanne McAvoy, and I'm a parent, a teacher, and a resident in our district. I am here tonight as a concerned parent and taxpayer. I wanted to take a moment to express my excitement about the opportunity for a new signature program at EMES. This is a remarkable opportunity for our school community to evaluate the matters most to us and work collaboratively to establish a program that reflects our values. I have complete confidence in Ms. Bora's ability to lead us. She has constantly demonstrated throughout her tenure as principal that she is more than competent and she does what's best for students. She has led our school to A ratings each year that she has been principal. And as a parent of 2 children who attend that school, I ask you, the board, and you, Mr. Superintendent, to empower Ms. Boras to continue doing her good work without interruption and distraction. I want to also emphasize my appreciation for Ms. Zimmerman, who I'd like to remind everyone earned her seat on this board, 1, through an actual election, and 2, in a landslide of an unprecedented margin of this district. As the most elected official of this board, she deserves the respect and dignity. She is unafraid to pose the difficult question and holds the district accountable for its decision, especially when they relate to finances. I expect the recent letter will not affect on how she will continue to fight for what's best for our kids. For a lesser person who doesn't get their way, I suppose quitting is an option. We've had board members abandon their posts in recent years when times got tough. Kelly isn't going anywhere. Maybe it's her character, or maybe it's our community that came out in droves to get her on this board. The bottom line is we chose her, not the Church of Estrella, not the county superintendent, we the people. And we the people would also like to know what's going on with the climate surveys. The staff feedback has been hardly flattering for the district's operations. I hope the board knows that the parents and teachers hope you're going to notice the trends of negative feedback and make adjustments accordingly. We have lost so many teachers in this climate that we now have to start looking overseas to fill positions. Is that the legacy the board wants for its tenure? Because we the people want answers, and we want you to start doing what's best for our kids.
Our next speaker is Ryan Cagle.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Cagle, and I do not reside within the district. However, I am a previous employee and parent of the district. Prior to this school year, I had the pleasure of serving the Liberty Elementary School District for 17 years, working at Freedom, Liberty, Rainbow Valley, and the district office. During my employment, I served as a teacher, instructional coach, district administrator, and school principal. I want to start this evening by addressing the inaccuracies of the personal attacks that were made about me during the last regular governing board meeting by Mr. Todd. First, I never signed any agreements with Franklin Covey. All agreements were sent to and signed by authorized signatories. Also, before the district entered into the multi-year agreement with Covey, the agreement was brought before the governing board for approval. Secondly, when I left Rainbow Valley, I ensured that the admin and front office spaces were left clean, organized, and ready for deep cleaning. Any work that took place after my departure were standard projects that office staff complete while staff and students are not on campus. Both myself and the school office manager requested additional assistance to provide support with these tasks and for the administrative transitions. These requests were denied by Dr. Mohorn. I would like to take the remainder of my time to speak in support of Mrs. Zimmerman. After reading the published report of the investigation findings, I am appalled that such allegations were made by a member of the current district administration. I find the claims of a hostile work environment ironic, as this is the type of workplace environment that Dr. Monroe, Dr. Mohorn, and Mr. Todd created under their leadership. I experienced this hostile environment for 2 years before finally making the difficult decision to resign last year. I regret not filing an official report for further investigation. The investigation report of Ms. Zimmerman referenced 5 operating standards of a governing board that she violated. I will address 2 of those standards and provide examples of how Mr. Todd violates these standards. The first standard states the board will limit its involvement to planning, policymaking, and public relations rather than becoming involved in the management of the schools. Mr. Todd has regularly violated this standard during his time as board president. He directly communicates with staff, has been included in meetings that involve daily school operations, district operations, and staff discipline, to name a few. The second standard references conduct at a board meeting. Specifically, the words and actions do not create a negative impression and are conducted with civility, care, and respect. During the last regular governing board meeting, the conduct of Mr. Todd toward Ms. Boris was disgraceful. He berated her for several minutes without interruption as he called out her leadership and referenced several emails that called me to question how he obtained the content of those emails. His tone was aggressive and condescending, and I believe that Mr. Todd owes Mrs. Boris a public apology for his conduct. It is clear that the claim filed against Mrs. Zimmerman was done with the intent to create fear and silence her. I hope that with some new leadership in place, all board members will be treated equally, held to high standards, and held to the limitation of their roles and responsibilities.
Ms. Cagle, your time's up. Our next speaker.
Members, for 1 second, please. Members, the open meeting law does not allow for any comments from the public, no interaction. You'll need to remain quiet or we'll have to conduct these with nobody in the audience.
Our next speaker is Vicki Johnson.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Johnson. I am a 23-year veteran teacher of this district, former president of the Liberty Education Association, and lifetime advocate for the students and teachers of the district. I'd like to address the hypocrisy of the recent censure of Ms. Zimmerman, not to have contact 101 with any staff member, reprimanded for disruptive behavior. During the 21-22 school year, Mr. Todd had a habit of appearing on a couple of the campuses to spend inordinate amounts of time with staff he had developed friendships with. It got to the point that Dr. Schuff had to expressly direct the office staff of these schools that if Mr. Todd showed up at any point without her, they were to notify her immediately. In the spring of 2022, Mr. Todd addressed me and 4 other female teachers and said that it appeared we had concerns and we were free to contact him at any point. He encouraged us to call him or he would meet us at Starbucks or whatever, one-on-one. When we replied that we would not meet one-on-one with him because reputation matters, he then made a comment about rumors of him having sex with district employees. Now he is censuring Ms. Zimmerman for her efforts to talk to employees in order to adequately understand their concerns, yet conveniently forgetting his own assignations. I suppose I should heed the advice of the TikTok video that Mr. Todd and his lady friends released to, what was it, just mind my own business? Mr. Todd was also not censured for any of this inappropriate behavior. Here's a few other highlights. Board member Parks said he wanted to kill Mrs. Boris, but he was not censured. Board member Parks disclosed confidential information about an ongoing sexual harassment lawsuit involving a minor, and even made comments blaming the child and her parents for the situation. Not censured. Members of the current board are part of the group for which over a dozen open meeting law violations were investigated, which suddenly just went away. Shall we ponder for a moment the egregious harassment board member Bixler suffered, perpetrated by both the public and fellow board members without any abatement or censure? What about the falsification of documents regarding the acquisition of the land upon which Zumbro is built? Any censure investigation of Mr. Young or the board for that? The truth is, the only objectionable thing Ms. Zimmerman has done has been to draw an ethical line in the sand and attempt to hold other board members accountable. You all know that if it was a man saying these things, you might disagree with him, but you'd respect him for being a man of strong convictions. Instead, because you cannot stomach being called on the carpet by a woman brave enough to challenge you, she is being harassed. If anyone has claims for a hostile environment, it is Ms. Zimmerman. Ms. Zimmerman, thank you for having the courage to speak out against the unethical and perhaps illegal actions. Thank you for continuing to look out for the best interests of the students and staff despite all the resistance that you have faced. It's too bad that the other board members have forgotten that students should be their primary focus. We have spent the last few years more concerned about the behavior of board members than anything else. How embarrassing and disgusting.
Our next speaker is Virginia Farron.
Sorry. My name is Virginia Farron. I live outside the district, yet I choose to send my two daughters in 8th and 1st grade to Estrella Mountain Elementary School. My parents have lived in Estrella Mountain Ranch since I was 9 years old, and I attended EMES until middle school. My family has been part of the community for decades, running a local business, volunteering on site council, PTO, and more. So when my husband and I moved back to Arizona, there was never a question where our children would go. For the past 5 years, we've been fortunate to open enroll at EMES. And just like my parents, I volunteer regularly in the reading program, at student-centered events, and with the PTO. When people ask why we chose EMES, I share the facts. It's an A-rated school, it excels in testing, and most importantly, it has a culture of unity and community. In my experience, there's one main reason for that: the leadership of Mrs. Boris. Mrs. Boris has never done anything but put children first. She listens to parents, staff, and students. She makes sure all voices are heard before moving forward, and she leads with the best interests of our kids at heart. I know there have been discussions about Estrella Mountain not moving forward with the IB program. While some may see this as a setback, the truth is our community trusts Mrs. Boris to guide us toward a signature program that fits our school, our students, and our future. And I know this isn't just my opinion, because I've heard it directly from people who live here. This year, February through May, while going door to door in the community, I connected with all sorts of families, including families I went to school with. And the parents whose kids now walk the same outdoor paths and play on the same fields we did. Over and over again, I heard the same thing: we trust Mrs. Boris to lead us forward. This is not a small handful of voices. This is a community speaking loud and clear. That trust isn't based on empty promises. It's based on years of proven leadership, integrity, and results. And we expect that trust to be respected. We expect that the process of choosing a new signature program will be collaborative, transparent, and rooted in what's best for our children, not handed down without listening to us. We're paying attention. We will remember who works with this community and who works against it. And I can promise you, the people who actually live this every day already know who they trust to lead us into this future. And if anyone here thinks my tone tonight is too combative or unprofessional, well, I'll save you the suspense. No apology.
Next speaker is Holly Bentz.
Good evening. My name is Holly Bentz. I have a 3rd grader and a 5th grader at Estrella Mountain who have been there since kindergarten. We are out of the district. I wanted to speak tonight in support of Ms. Boris. As EMES explores a new signature program, I feel there is no one more qualified to make this choice and guide our school through this exciting change. Ms. Boris has always had the best interest of her students, staff, and community at the heart of her decisions. She has skillfully led our school through COVID, failed overrides, and budget cuts with positivity, ingenuity, and dogged determination. And it shows. We have an A-rated school, engaged learners, and passionate teachers, with great retention, by the way. Her community fought hard to keep her last school year, and we support her ability to make this decision with the same ferocity. She has been the heart of this school for 6 years, stayed positive in the face of adversity, and is uniquely qualified to make this choice and lead us into the future. And speaking of strong, smart, competent women, I would be remiss if I didn't likewise speak out in support of the women on this board. You also have the full support of your community. As you fight the fights worth fighting, ask the tough questions, and demand answers that best serve our students. And to paraphrase Michelle Obama, when others go low with threats, intimidation, and name-calling, those with facts and the truth on their side will always go high. The community stands with these dedicated women who serve our schools. Thank you for the shining example you set for our children.
Next speaker is Johanna Rodriguez.
Good evening, all. I come to you as an out-of-district parent, an active PTO parent, a school-registered volunteer, and an active member within Goodyear community. This year will be our 4th year coming from out of the district to the wonderful school of EMES. I am here this evening once again to speak and show my support of 2 people who have gained and earned the trust of their school, families at the school, and their community. Last year, I was here speaking of the wonderful things about our school's faculty and staff, and I'm back to testify some more because we're still in the thick of what's best for the kids. I hope that every one of us has the children's best interest in mind. But the great thing about seeing people in action is being able to see who just talks and who walks the walks. I appreciate many things our school does regarding keeping parents informed through emails, PTO meetings, coffee with the principal, school functions, etc. I spoke before about Mrs. Boris when the renewing of her contract was in question and how she worked and earned the respect and the trust of the community, the kids, and those who are to come down the line. Does she have flaws? Does she make mistakes? Could she do more? Yeah, but that's common fact for everyone in this room. But you know what I can't say about everyone in this room for a fact? That you have my trust, my support, the backing of parents willing to speak up for you when your character is brought into question. I can't say I trust you with my children for their education and the helping of making the next generation of citizens who are to be caring, kind, considerate, and always willing to do the right thing for everyone in mind. With that being said, I trust Mrs. Boris that she will help guide us through what's coming next regarding the new signature program that will benefit the students and the community. The second individual I've come to know and support through the trenches as we've been volunteers at our school for the last 3 years. I stand back and I've seen her help children of all ages. She treats them with respect, always does the right thing, shows up morning and afternoon to the PTO meetings, to school events, whether it's in the sun, and even to these board meetings. She shows up, she takes it all. There are public reports out that state there have been filings of lack of professionalism and repeated breaches of the board's ethical standards, to which I was happy to hear finally Mrs. Zimmerman's going to receive her apology for that time she was told to calm down because she was freaking out about things that were actually important, or when the parents and volunteers were called child abusers for having their children here to support the principal's contract being renewed. But don't forget about the children who were invited by the board to have them sit with them by the board and be here in the crowd. Those parents and those kids were okay. Or how about the fact that our principal's life was threatened by the president of this board? I was thinking, finally, Mrs. Boris is going to get, I'm sorry, and a reassurance that the new principal is a president's not going to be like the last. How about when their staff up here sleeping and need questions repeated because they're not paying attention? Well, there should have been so many apologies that came out from this board from what I've witnessed firsthand and have heard. But sadly, the person who was made to apologize was the person who was done wrong by her peers, and it should not be so.
Next speaker is Suzanne Wold.
I'm Suzanne Wold, a resident of the district and a former certified public school educator. I've been on the Estrella Site Council since 2007. Since 2014, I've coordinated the amazing volunteers at our school. Ms. Boris, our highly respected and much loved principal, was hired by a previous district administration that actively solicited input from affected stakeholders about policies and decisions. When our previous principal retired, HR narrowed the field to 5 candidates for the principalship of our school. The superintendent and 2 school leaders conducted interviews and skills assessments with the final candidates. Then they interviewed the candidates again, but this time in front of a group of 20 Estrella stakeholders, teachers, parents, and volunteers. After the interviews, the superintendent requested feedback from the stakeholder group. The entire group agreed that Ms. Boris was far and away the best candidate for the job. The district hired her. Ms. Boris has proven to be a strong and innovative leader at Estrella. She puts students first, always, and empowers teachers to support all students as they learn. She's eminently qualified and the very best person to analyze possible signature programs that would support our students and our school community as we move forward. Due to her leadership style, she'll share the options with teachers and parents and solicit their input. When the final choice is made, there's no doubt that she will have consulted a representative group of all stakeholders and considered, above all, what's best for our students. I'll give you some facts about IB at Estrella. When the program started, students became more engaged, respectful, and considerate on campus. Teachers who weren't up for the additional work of IB moved to other schools, and we retained the creme de la creme. I understand that IB schools have a full-time employee overseeing each program. We have 2 programs at Estrella, the K-5 and the junior high program. We did not have any full-time coordinators. Our 2 program coordinators have been teachers with full-time loads. I acknowledge Ms. Boris and the entire staff at Estrella for their heroic efforts around IB. IB International evaluated Estrella last October. I attended the results meeting where the evaluators congratulated Ms. Boris and our staff on their efforts and indicated that the opportunities for growth were considered minor. Nothing like what Mr. Todd implied at a recent board meeting. Apparently, he insinuated himself into district operations when a board member has no business meddling in the daily operations of our schools.
Our next speaker is Ashley Wright.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Wright. I reside in the district. I want to take a moment to recognize our principal, Mrs. Boris. Throughout every parent meeting, she's been open and transparent about where we stood with IB compliance, giving us the facts clearly and honestly. As a parent that met with the IB committee, I can tell you we received a great deal of positive feedback from them, feedback that unfortunately has been left out of the larger narrative. They were also upfront about the hard truth. Because of budgetary constraints and the inability to provide multiple art teachers for PYP and MYP and a full-time Spanish teacher, for instance, Estrella would never be fully IB compliant. That honesty matters. Mrs. Boris has consistently demonstrated that she is both trustworthy and highly qualified to guide us through this pivotal moment. Her leadership ensures the decision to find a new signature program will be thoughtful, strategic, and in the best interest of our students. With her at the helm, I'm confident we will choose a program that not only meets academic standards, but also inspires and empowers our children for years to come. Secondly, I'm deeply concerned about the blatant witch hunt targeting a dedicated board member, Ms. Zimmerman, who has done nothing wrong but fulfill the role she is elected to do, serve our community, support our students, and advocate for our staff. Instead of respecting her commitment and integrity, this board has chosen to spend taxpayer dollars on a wild goose chase. This is not only abuse of resources, it's an abuse of power. The truth is, Ms. Zimmerman refuses to back down because she stands for what is right. The community sees it. She has our unwavering support, and no matter how much you try to silence her, you can never silence the voices of the people who elected her. If you've learned anything over the past 18 months, it should be that this community will not sit idly by while you dismantle our district. You accuse Ms. Zimmerman of bullying and intimidation, yet you put those very tactics on full display when you tried to publicly shame our principal. The people saw it, and they did not approve. Your letter, written on behalf of the board, was inflammatory, accusatory, and dripping with hypocrisy. In fact, it reads less like a statement of facts and more like a confession of your own behavior towards these 2 women. So I'll ask you, President Todd, when will you issue your public apology? Lastly, Superintendent McDonald, I'd like to thank you for being here. Showing true support for our principal, teachers, and students. Your presence and leadership have brought a renewed sense of hope to this district. The excitement is palpable, and for the first time in months, we see a clear path forward. We appreciate your commitment, and we're ready to move forward ahead together.
Next speaker is Megan Keenan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Megan Canan, and I reside in district with 1 current student and 2 past students. I come to speak yet again in hopes that our voices as community members and parents will be heard and stop falling on deaf ears. This board says that they want community and parent input and that they care about our input and involvement, yet when it came down to setting the board meetings for upcoming school year, it was agreed to keep them on Mondays. It was agreed to, even though it was presented that this causes a major conflict with sports games days. This would leave parents to decide if they miss their kids' games or miss out on being an involved community member. By voting to keep the meetings on Mondays, your actions show us that you truly do not want the parents' voices heard, that you do not value their opinions and input. I am also appalled at how Kelly has been treated and attacked by her fellow members. She should not be punished or reprimanded for valuing parents, community, and staff member voices, opinions, or concerns. Anyone should be able to reach out to her if that's who they feel comfortable going to. I understand that staff should follow chain of command, but when they do need to go above the superintendent, they should be able to go to the board member that they feel comfortable going to. From there, it can be shared with other members. Maybe that staff member doesn't feel safe or comfortable going to the current president, and the board member they go to can share the thoughts or concerns anonymously. Members should not be reprimanded for being a safe place for staff, parents, and community members to go to.
Next speaker is Mike Lyon.
Good evening. I reside in the district. I am a lifetime licensed teacher with almost 2 decades of teaching and a master's. Good evening, board members, superintendent, and staff. As someone who may join you one day, I would like to make an observation about your actions. In reading the investigation about Member Zimmerman, I note the complaint is redacted, and since this is a public board, why would the name not be made public? I also note that the district's legal representative, Mr. Dangerfield, wisely said to dismiss the case. Even the complainant requested the case be dropped. Yet someone began to convince someone, him or her, to push forward and possibly even suggest ways to set up Mrs. Zimmerman. I note that the complaint is possible racism, and yet I note that no board members nor the new superintendent are minorities. I also note with some concern that the outside law firm that was retained, Ledbetter, was the same firm that amazingly found 0 open meeting violations. Another item that concerns me is why we were only 3 board members interviewed, not all 4. If a school board member is analogous to a supervisor, then they would only supervise the super or his staff, as they certainly don't directly supervise any employees at the schools. So I ask, how is Member Zimmerman, in quotes, serially humiliates leaders, district employees, treating them with contempt, unquote. Mr. President, I also ask you to reconsider your operating standards where it talks about body language. For example, you rarely look up at members. It's almost like you are bothered being here. Other people sit with their arms crossed as if to say, I'm not buying this. Body language is so subjective that I think it should be eliminated for that part. And I'm going to eliminate the rest because something else that's coming up later this board meeting bothers me. We're having a hard time getting teachers in it. I understand we're looking at going overseas to the Philippines. I spent a lot of time in the Philippines. They're great people, but I don't think we need headhunters. I was asked by a principal if I would come back after a long-term subbing last year to be a teacher at that school. I gave it some thought and I said, yes, but can you get me past Dr. Mahone? And she said, that shouldn't be a problem. She came back 2 days later and said, you were right, she won't hire you. And I've heard that this has been the case for other people, particularly for you, Mr. Superintendent. We've got people that wanted to work in this district, and that lady is preventing them from coming in here. So before we go overseas and hire Filipino headhunters, I think we need to look internally and find out if we maybe have a problem getting teachers from someone on the staff. Thank you very much.
Mr. Todd, could I have just a few moments to clarify some facts?
At the end of this, that's when it's appropriate to do.
Our next speaker is Heather Hedges.
Good evening, Superintendent McDonald, board members, and all the rest of us here, including my Estrella family. I live and work in the Liberty community. I teach 5th grade ELA at Estrella. I have also held the role as a member of the Site Council and as the IB Primary Years Coordinator. I am familiar with the requirements of IB and the updates that are to be implemented over the next few years. I've been a part of IB at Estrella since the year we were accredited. My first year at Estrella was the year that they said, yes, you can be IB, and we were all so excited. I know the work and the time and the heart that went into IB, and I know what's required, and it's my belief that it's not a fit for us at this time. Having been the IB PYP coordinator, a teacher that has been trained and implemented in the IB framework, and a believer in IB, it's my belief that IB is not a best fit for Estrella at this time. IB has an ever-changing set of requirements that we need to adhere to, and over the last few years, it has become increasingly difficult to adhere to those requirements with the added state and district expectations. An evaluator said to me at some point, an IB evaluator said to me, it is difficult for a public school in the US to be an IB school and adhere to every single rule. It's very difficult. And IB knows that, but we're still held to the same standards as schools in other places that aren't held to state standards and things like that. I am confident that Mrs. Boris, the Estrella team, and our community will find a signature program that meets our current needs and allows us to continue to be a campus of innovation while keeping the culture of IB present in our next steps. I appreciate the opportunity to move forward with a signature program that better fits Estrella and our family. Thank you.
Next speaker is Matt Aaron.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Aaron. I do not reside within the district. I'm a proud teacher in this district for 3 years now. As a teacher on Estrella Mountain campus, I am proud to express my strong support for our administrator, Lindsay Boris. Her leadership is rooted in a deep and unwavering belief that all students matter and that every child is capable of achieving success. This philosophy is not just something she says. It's something she lives out every day through her decisions, her presence, and her tireless support of both students and staff. What sets Mrs. Boris apart is her consistent focus on kindness, equity, and community. She leads with empathy and treats every student, teacher, and parent with respect. Her open door policy and warm demeanor create an atmosphere where everyone feels valued and heard. Because of her leadership, our students feel safe, physically and emotionally, especially academically, and that sense of security has allowed them to thrive, us being an A-rated school. Under her guidance, our campus has not only seen significant growth in student achievement, reflected in our high test scores, but we've also built a staff culture that is grounded in trust, collaboration, and shared purpose. The result, exceptionally low teacher turnover. Educators choose to stay here at Estrella because we believe in the vision that she has built, one that is student-centered, inclusive, and always forward-thinking. We are more than a school. We are a community. And that is the direct reflection of Lindsay Boris's leadership. Her dedication, her kindness, and belief in every child's potential continue to inspire us all. And I am proud to be part of the school that she has helped shape. Thank you, Mrs. Boris.
Next speaker is Ms. Donnie Bond.
My name is Donnie Bond, and I do reside in the district. Board president, members, and staff. I want to speak on point 2.2, the findings of the board apology regarding board member Zimmerman. I also represent those of us who have voted for other board members and support them. I want to thank you for following up with this apology regarding Board Member Zimmerman's lack of professionalism and respect during governing board meetings, especially during presentations where you continually interrupt the presenter. I find that rude, and I'll just cite Dane Bolden's financial example, which was very upsetting, and he immediately quit. I hope that this investigation also sheds light on any offensive contact by those of us who reside in our district. I think it's a call for all of us. Self-respect of others shows good manners. It's something that I expect our children should be learning in school. As I read the governing board policy, I would hope that this is a focus we can all aspire to master. We must set a good example for all our children. As to your apology, it was discussed at the last board meeting, and I've lost trust in your sincerity, but I will be open to hope your actions will improve in the future. Let me remind us all that the recall petitions at Estrella Mountain, as well as any other school, are not allowed, and our student proficiency scores are still lacking, and I think that's what we're all wanting to focus on here today. Thank you.
Our next speaker is William Bretner.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members. I had planned a slightly different talk, but one of the issues that came up is this international baccalaureate. And I was at several of the past meetings, so I've kind of get a feel for what's going on at these meetings. And I was appalled as a taxpayer, and I'm in district, that they spent $50,000 and there was no accountability for meetings that were blown, demands by International Baccalaureate that weren't respected by the leadership. And I don't know if that's Principal Boris or whoever it is, it's just appalling. The second part is my discussion of board member behavior. And Ms. Kelly Zimmerman has exhibited dilatory behavior. The Ledbetter law firm came in and gave you, I think, 7 items that you were supposed to pay attention to. And it's my understanding that you've already ignored that and gone directly to the superintendent when you're supposed to go through the board president. I think that's appalling. I'll be waiting for you in 3.5 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, you need to be quiet.
Our next speaker is Michelle Alter.
Hello, Michelle Altair, and I do reside in the district. I spoke here, it's been several weeks ago at a meeting, and I kind of complimented everyone. The room wasn't filled like this because there's been several meetings where nobody was here because I guess the call to order wasn't, there wasn't a clarion call to come here. But I said then, I was really impressed with a lot of things that were going on as far as this board, and, appreciated Mr. McDonald coming in and hoping that, everyone could work together. But I guess several weeks later, it's like we're back to where we're at, where 5 years ago, where the contention in this room was palpable. And we're back to that again. I thought we had gotten past that. I hope those, sitting on the board will understand that pandering or trying to come alongside some things and kind of shift your focus does not deter any actions against you. So I would hope, we've worked a long time. We worked several years to get this board to where it is, and to, you know, to the support. No, we may not have the physical support in this room, but this being a spiritual battle that it is, we do a lot of warfare that you just don't know about. So I would hope that you can come together and understand that it's more about the children and not the whining of people complaining about whatever they want to complain about. I know, you know, for Michael Todd, I know a lot of people speak against him. Me and him didn't even have, there was no love lost between us. Me and him had our issues. But the one thing I know about Michael Todd is that as president, he does have a calling for doing this. And just because you sit on the board doesn't mean you're anointed or have the ability to actually sit in that position, but you do, President Todd. So I appreciate that you stay the course, and I hope that our other members can take that into effect. Yes, there might be some issues, but I would hope that you're adults and you can start acting like adults and not going behind and talking behind each other's backs. Be adults. Because you shouldn't be standing in front of children telling them how they should be acting when we can't even act that way themselves. I'm talking about board, and I'm talking about the people that show up in these rooms, because these rooms have been empty for several meetings because I guess, you know, there wasn't nothing really going on to make them want to show up. But then you get a clarion call to say, come in, and everybody parrots your same comments. So I will hope that we can come together and understand this is a spiritual battle, and it's coming against the children, not the adults in this room. It's for the children. So let's start standing up and acting like the adults and be that wall that separates and stands up for the children and their innocence. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Susan Cheatham.
Ms. Cheatham, if I could ask you to hold for a second. This group of ladies over here that's speaking, one more word, we're going to have to ask you to move. Okay, we're trying to hear, and with your talking, it's not happening. You'll need to leave the room if it continues.
Yes, President Todd and board staff, thank you. I echo Michelle Altair. I've been coming to these board meetings for over 4 years, and I'm here today to help set the record straight. The majority of this school board has been under attack, not for failing our children, but for finally putting them first. The lies being spread are vile, twisted, and meant to divide. Michael Todd, along with Chris Kenyon and Brian Cicerone, have led the way to raise standards, restore discipline, and bring back real education, reading, writing, and math. They've removed politics from the classroom and replaced it with purpose. That's not extremism, that's leadership, and it's working. You have all stood for our kids, our schools, and our community. You have taken Liberty School District to another level, and your heart for the children and what's best for them has not gone unnoticed. You have made yourselves available to the parents and staff. That has made a huge difference in this district. The Liberty School District is thriving despite those who want to destroy it. Millions of military heroes paid a price for our freedom so that we would not become a socialist, communist country. And I'm thankful for the removal of CRT and DEI. They have been removed from the policy. This is not a game. Absolutely not a game. The children's lives are at stake here. The Bible says, woe to those who call good evil and evil good. God will not be mocked. Thank you.
Mr. President, that concludes.
Mr. Dangerfield, you wanted to make a comment?
Yes, I just need to clarify a few facts. Gentleman back here brought up, it said something about that I had recommended dismissal of that complaint, and that never occurred. I recommended that it be referred to the outside attorney's office because of my situational conflict representing the governing board. And the next thing is, it wasn't the Ledbetter Law Firm that dismissed the open meeting law violations. It was the Arizona Attorney General's office, which is the responsibility, has the responsibility to oversee the open meeting law. No, they received the complaint. They received the original complaint from the people that filed the complaint.
Any members wish to respond? Our hearing none, we'll move to the consent agenda.
I'd like to pull 5.2 and 5.10, please.
Are there any others that need to be pulled?
Mr. President, I'd like to pull 5.3.
5.3 will be pulled as well. Any others request to be pulled? Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 5.2, 5.3, and 5.10.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 5.2, 5.3, and 5.10.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the exceptions of 5.2, 5.3, and 5.10. There's no discussion. We'll take the vote. Board Member Schmidt.
Aye.
Board Member Zimmerman.
Aye.
Vice President Kenyon.
Aye.
Board Member Strencioni.
Aye.
I'm also, I will show that approved 5 yes, 0 no. We'll move now to item 5.2, approval of minutes of the June 7th, 2025 Governing Board Special Meeting. June 10th, Governing Board Meeting Minutes, July 9th Governing Board Special Meeting Minutes, and August 5th Governing Board Special Meeting Minutes.
I had a question. So when a meeting has an executive session and we are going to approve these minutes, are we essentially approving the minutes for the executive session as well?
That is correct.
Okay, so how are we supposed to review those minutes since the sessions are not being recorded? How are we supposed to review them prior to the meeting?
There is still minutes, and every board member has a right to come in and review the minutes.
Okay, so when we get the agenda on a Friday afternoon, we'd have to review them Monday in order to be able to make, to vote for the motion confidently.
This has been a recent change, as you know, so if you'd like, we can discuss, and I will discuss it with the superintendent and the board president, that we can change the way it is presented on the agenda. But we also need to look into a way to make that easy for you, because I think we could present it in a way that you could request an executive session in the meeting if you need to actually go review the minutes.
Yeah, I just think if I'm agreeing to something, I would like to read it before I agree to something that I believe is accurate.
That's certainly a reasonable response.
Okay.
Sure.
Is there any more discussion on 5.2? Okay, Mr. Dangerfield, I think you're also researching the statutory requirement to approve minutes as well, correct?
I'm going to research that,
Okay.
yes. Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, hearing no other, I'll take a motion and a second for 5.2.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 7th, 2025 Governing Board Special Meeting, June 10th, 2025 Governing Board Meeting Minutes, July 9th, 2025 Governing Board Special Meeting Minutes, and August 5th, 2025 Governing Board Special Meeting Minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve item 5.2. There's no further discussion. We'll take a vote. Board Member Schmidt.
Nay.
Board Member Zimmerman.
Nay, and I'd like to explain my vote.
Vice President Kenyon.
Aye.
Board Member Strencioni.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that approved 3 yes, 2 no. Ms. Zimmerman.
I'm a nay because on August 5th, there was an executive session and we have not had the opportunity to review the minutes, and therefore I cannot vote for something I've not read.
Our next item is 5.3, approval of personnel action items. Dr. Stephanie Mahorn.
I believe Vice President Kenyon pulled this and maybe had some questions.
I did. It was more of a statement. Right before the meeting, we received the updated Personnel action item. So I know I had received a couple of questions about stipends, and those look like they've been pulled for review. So
Yes.
just
Mr.
making
McDonald
sure.
and I talked and pulled all the stipends just to get a better picture so we can provide a clearer picture because there are so many stipends for so many different reasons.
There are a lot. And so I appreciate you pulling those and diving into them. I want to make sure that if we're giving stipends to staff, that they actually meet the qualifications for the stipend.
Correct.
And so I think there were a number of them that where they were working on getting qualified.
Mr.
or
Kenyon,
whatever.
I'll caution you, we've pulled the stipend, so it's not part of the agenda item. I would be cautious to discuss any further.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no more discussion, we'll take a motion and a second for 5.3.
Then I make a motion to approve 5.3 personal action items.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, we'll take the vote. Board Member Schmidt?
Aye.
Board Member Zimmerman?
Aye.
Vice President Kenyon?
Aye.
Board Member Strencioni?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Will show that approved 5 yes, 0 no. Next will be item 5.10. Ms. Zimmerman, I think you requested this one to be pulled.
I did. If we could pull up voucher 148, please. It starts on page 3 of the document, if that's helpful. Okay, yes, thank you. So if you scroll down, sorry, to the next page, I apologize. Sorry, at the bottom of that, page 3. Yes, thank you so much. So you can see that most of this voucher comes from Medicaid reimbursement. And so then if you keep scrolling to see what we paid or who we paid, you will notice that a lump sum was paid to the previous superintendent, almost equal to the amount of Medicaid funding. And so I had a lot of concerned constituents reach out to me about using Medicaid funding for that. So I just wanted to have a transparent discussion about, is that allowed? Oh, I don't know who I'm.
The Medicaid funding is a reimbursement to us for expenses we have paid to have students OT, PT, speech, and those types of Medicaid assistance. When we get that reimbursement, we are allowed to use it for whatever the district needs are because we have put it out, those expenses out of M&O. So now we can reimburse and use that money for whatever we deem necessary.
Okay. Do we typically, though, try to use that money for, then to pay for, the teachers or the pairs that then provide those services? Do we typically try to use that money?
No, that has not been this district's previous spending on that. We had one teacher spent out of that, and then the person who does our Medicaid reimbursement is paid out of there. Okay. Other than that, it's just been sitting there available for us to use when we needed it. And this is the year we decided we needed to dip into that funding.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions, we'll take a motion in a second.
Make a motion to approve 5.10.
A motion to approve 5.10. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, we'll take the vote. Board Member Schmidt?
Aye.
Board Member Zimmerman?
Aye.
Vice President Kenyon?
Aye.
Board Member Strencioni?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Will show that approved 5 yes, 0 no. That completes our consent agenda. We'll now move to 6.1, discussion consideration of the International Baccalaureate Signature Program at Estrella Mountain Elementary School. Lindsay Boris.
I'm going to push this up just a little bit if that's okay. As you can see on most of our shirts, our theme this year is One Team, One Dream. Each year we come up with a theme that encompasses our culture and what we stand for. And so this year It's one team, one dream, and our dream is to be able to move Estrella in another direction that best fits our kids. So tonight I'm going to outline some things for you, and then I will be open for questions. So want to say thank you to Board President Todd, governing board members, and Superintendent McDonald for allowing us to come in and have this conversation. I want to also thank you, my staff. I know this isn't their favorite thing to do, but to stand with me and share the great things we have here at Estrella. So where we are now, Estrella is proud to be an IB World School. It's something that the community has valued, our staff has valued, our students has valued over time. There are many key strengths within IB, including the inquiry-based learning, the student agency, community outreach, and global perspectives. And those 4 strengths, there's many, but those 4 there have become part of our culture. So anywhere you go on campus, you will see those things happening, and you can hear kids talking about those strengths. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Why we are exploring the shift. This is actually a dialogue that started about 18 months ago, could even go as far as 2 years ago, with the staff. So we were getting ready to launch our self-study that IB requires of us. And we were studying the program, we were studying what we do, studying which staff members had been trained, which staff members needed to be trained. And the comment came up in one of the staff meetings of, is this what's best for Estrella and our kids now? And so I had brought that forward, and we found a way to continue to make it work. Went through our visit, got a lot of great feedback, but then also a lot of things that we needed to work on. So this has come up again with our staff and community members that participated in that study, that we need to make sure that we're striving to meet the evolving needs of our students, staff, and community. We need more flexibility and relevance to the expectations of our state and district. And then we want to make sure that we're still offering those opportunities to innovate while retaining the strengths within IB and the culture that we currently have at Estrella. We're committed to preserving the inquiry-based learning, our student voice, our student action and service projects, and the collaborative planning and reflection. Again, it's part of our culture. It's what Estrella is, and we don't want to take that away. We do have some proposed next steps, which would start with forming a committee. We would like to create a signature program exploration committee that would include teachers, staff, parents, community, and district leaders. We have no intention of saying it's a committee of 5 people. Typically, when we do anything on our campus, we send out some form of Google form to who wants to sign up and be part of those things. So our hope is to invite as many members as would like to be part of this charge. It's going to be a lofty and a heavy lift, but we're excited for it. The charge would be to evaluate different models, identify core values within programs that we research, and then recommend a future path. We know that there's not going to be a one-size-fits-all signature program for Estrella, so we would like to create an Estrella signature program that has some of the components that we have become accustomed to and value, and then other programs that are within our state that do signature programs. Again, our signature program that we are hoping to build would still stay student-centered. It would be something that's sustainable and not have the costs that are aligned with IB. We would want to make sure that we're aligned with district priorities. We want to be sure that we're engaging families, and then that we are building a program that is unique for Estrella. Timeline. We set a lofty timeline, being that we would try to do August, September, form the committee. September to November would be evaluate the models that we would like to research. December, come back with a committee recommendation for board approval. January, begin our planning for a fall 2026 launch revised program. I want to extend a thank you to each of you for supporting us, Mr. McDonald for partnering with me the last few weeks and ensuring that he will be alongside us as we launch this, again, heavy lift for our campus. We are excited for it. We want to continue to honor our past. We want to build forward. And then I just want to leave you with a quote that is near and dear to me, which is, change is not the end. It's an invitation to begin again with intention. And I stand ready for any questions that you may have.
Mr. President, if I may.
You may.
I don't know if this is going to lead too much into 6.2, but I fully support you guys doing this. If your school is thinking it's not beneficial anymore, like, it sounds like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, please correct me, but it sounds like while it was beneficial, it's not sustainable for your school to continue to do the IB program.
Yes, for a lot of different reasons. So with the elevated state standards and proficiency rates and other things that come about, IB is, it's not a canned program. You can't just open a book and anybody teach it. It's a way of teaching, and it's the framework, which we do a really good job with. But to have the name IB on our building and to meet their expectations is really difficult. And I think Mrs. Hegedus said it really well earlier, that when we had our visit, they told us it is very difficult for a public school in the United States to keep it going. The changes that they have mapped for the next 3 years are near impossible for a public school to maintain.
No, I agree, because most other schools that do IB, that's their sole focus.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that goal you guys set, do you think it's obtainable, or is that a goal just to appease people? Is that like something you guys can actually do, the timeline?
I would love to have more time, but I also know that my community values what we do, and I don't want to kick the can down the road. I feel like we've kind of been doing that. So I do think it's something we can do. I would like the opportunity to be able to come back and say, we have some that we need more time with, and maybe we propose it in the spring. I don't want to make a jump at a program, but
Yeah,
it needs to be a good fit for Estrella.
Agreed. And I want to make sure we get this done, but I don't want to rush it just to find something at the same time.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Todd.
Yes, please go ahead.
First, I just want to apologize to Mrs. Boris for the last meeting. It was not okay what occurred, and I should not have allowed it to continue. So I want to apologize publicly to you. I want to thank you for bringing this forward to us, to stand here in front of us again, and for your staff to have your support. I am an Estrella parent, and I am proud to be an Estrella parent. And I, know how difficult it is to stand up here. So I appreciate that you're willing to do that. I think it's incredible that you want to take on creating your own signature program. I think that is a heavy lift, but I know
the greatest.
I know that you would not take something on that you didn't think you could achieve. And the fact that you are so committed to the Estrella community and making sure that it is the right fit, and understanding that you're not just going to find one size fits all. So, I'm kind of with Mrs. Sorrenzioni, like it's a big lift, as you continue to do everything else that we're asking, of principals and teachers and staff. But I am grateful that you're willing to take on the challenge. So thank you so much.
Mr. Todd.
You may.
I also want to thank you for getting up and speaking with us again and bringing this back. I think what I took away from the last meeting was that you guys are doing a great job with the resources that you have. And one of the biggest issues, I will say, is that while we are spending a lot of money on the IB program, the reality is we're not spending nearly what it costs to do it correctly. So, and that's not on you. That's just the reality of the financial system that we have and how much money we have to give you guys. But the fact that you've been doing a great job with probably less than half, I was just adding in, if we had the full-time Spanish teacher and the extra art teachers and the 2 teachers that are just in charge of the program, so we have like 4 more employees at least, that's a lot more money. So commending you all for doing the great job that you've been doing with the limited resources that we've given you to run a program that's just very expensive. I'm looking forward to seeing what you put together. I think pulling the best pieces of the IB program and then fitting them to fit the community that you have and those students you can come up with something amazing and be even better than you were before. So I'm really looking forward to that. Good luck to you, because it is a heavy lift in a short amount of time. So use all the resources you can, reach out to anybody. I think all of us would be open. If you need things from us, let us know as well. And we're looking forward to seeing what you come back with.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may.
You may.
So just what I've learned over the last couple weeks about this program, in addition to what I already knew and where we've been, I'm glad we're hashing it out now, if I could say that. It sounds like it's been on life support. And, it's something that, like you said, we don't want to keep kicking the can down the road. So these are difficult conversations. These are difficult things. And it's not easy for a board or a board member to point something out. Things hurt sometimes. And that's not the intent, is to hurt somebody. It's to draw attention to something. Obviously, this just wasn't sustainable, right? So it's good that we're having this conversation now. I'm very excited for what you guys come up with. You have a great group of individuals behind you who I know have lots of effort, lots of skill, and dedication to that campus. And so I'm really excited to look and see what you guys are able to come up with. I'm just glad. I know it's a hard conversation, but I'm glad we're having it.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Can I ask the superintendent a question
You may.
related to this? Do you, Mr. McDonald, if we do on the next one kind of stop the IB, do you have a plan with the district how you would support this? Or is it just, you guys just kind of in the too early?
Yeah, too early, but I think anytime, I mean, if we can say, learn from this, and we know that most of the time it's resources that will be needed, and maybe they don't need to be, they're not needed today or tomorrow, but looking ahead where these resources are. So I think whatever comes, we need to really flush out to say, we're not looking for the solution right now, and we might not even be looking in 3 years. We want this thing to be sustainable for years to come. And it's like anything, building a house, or a lot of that's going to come on the front end. And then, I think with a board or as a district, can we put some things in place to ensure that continues, down the road, whether that's policy or an MOU or whatever it may be, to make sure that it continues. Too early on any of this, but I think definitely flush those out. And some of the questions I will be asking, and also as a board, again, what's this kind of 3-year plan? What's this 5-year plan? And what does it look like in 10 years? And what do we want it to?
Thank you.
Mr. President, I actually do have another question, if I may.
You may.
So with what's kind of the conversation tonight, I would like to know how it's going to affect the staff. Have there been any changes with staffing? Is this going to cost us jobs? How's this going to affect our staff if we discontinue the IB program?
It would and has eliminated a 0.5 Spanish teacher.
If I can piggyback, like eliminate or reassigned?
It was eliminated, that 0.5, with the option, that teacher was given the option that they could apply for anything that they were certified for in the district.
The only other thing that it does affect staffing wise would be stipends. So both my PYP and MYP coordinator, their stipend would be null and void for this upcoming school year because we wouldn't need that stipend. So they both are aware and on board with the change.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, now I'll say thank you.
Okay.
Apologize.
Thank
Said
you.
it twice, so thank you.
Do I need to stay up for the
I
next
do.
agenda?
I have one question.
Oh.
Yeah, if you want to say, the service program that you guys do every year. I know the students love it, the family loves it. It's always a great event to come to.
The 8th grade community project.
Community project, yeah. Will that be able to continue this year somehow, or you still plan on doing that?
Yeah. So I think something that was in one of the previous slides talked about how we want to keep some of the IB framework pieces in place. We can't call it IB because you pay for that language and that framework itself, but those are things that we don't want to lose. Parents were informed that this could be a change, and they found me at Meet the Teacher, and the first thing out of their mouths were, please tell me we're not taking away the student agency and the community project piece. And I answered with no, be called something different and have a few different things part of that, but that's something that's part of Estrella, and we would never want to take that from our kids or our community.
Great, thank you. That's encouraging to hear. Okay, we'll move on to item 6.2, discussion consideration for the Estrella Mountain Elementary to explore future signature programs. So members, this is basically a continuation of the discussion. It's got action tied to it with a recommended motion. Are there any other questions that anybody has? I have, I just want to clarify, Board Member Cincione, I think you asked about staff. Have we've eliminated one position from the campus already? Is that correct? Okay, and then somebody said there was a letter, I think, Mr. McDonald, you had said you guys had sent a letter to staff already about this. Is that correct? Letting them know?
We didn't send.
My welcome email to staff was that we were launching into something different at the very, like July, right after the first meeting that we had.
Okay.
And then in my parent letter, also stated that we may be looking at something different moving forward.
Okay. All right, thank you.
The 0.5, right? Not a full, okay.
All right, appreciate it. All right, members, we can take a motion in a second.
A motion to discontinue the IB program at Estrella and instruct staff to create a committee of parents, staff, and students to explore three options. Sorry, can I amend my motion?
You haven't even finished it. You can start all over.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. Motion to discontinue the IB program at Estrella and instruct staff to create a committee of parents, staff, and students to explore options of a signature program and bring back to the board for further discussion and approval.
A second.
Okay, members, we have a motion and a second. One of the proposed recommendation was to create a board committee. If this committee is going to come back to the board to make recommendations, the committee would need to fall under the open meeting law, which would make it a board committee. That does not necessarily mean that the board has to pick the committee. That just means that they would be required to fall under the open meeting law to bring back any recommendations to the board, which sounds like how this is being structured. So whether that word's in there or not, it would require a public posting, it would require minutes and all the same requirements. I don't know if somebody wants to amend to put the board word back in there or leave it the way it is. Either way, it's going to have about the same effect.
There are lots of, can I ask a question? I apologize.
You may.
There are lots of, I feel like, committees. If Ms. Boras just presents it, is that then there are lots of things that are happening on campuses that are not tied to an open meeting law. And I'm not opposed to the open meeting law, but I don't want to create any obstacles for a school. And, we did not put that limitation on the Loretta Zumbro's exploration of a signature program. So I'm not sure why it needs to be here if it wasn't for that school.
Well, I cannot comment on the Zumbro. I wasn't here when that committee was formed. My understanding is they don't yet have a recommendation to bring to the board, so I think we should probably do it that way. There is actually a letter on file to the district from several years ago that talks about these committees and also even site councils have to fall under open meeting law. So researching this and talking with legal seems like the best approach to take.
Okay, then I just
can't really create a committee and then sidestep it by having somebody else present. That circumvents the law that was the intent of the law.
Okay, I just think we need to make sure that we're being equitable and, all schools be held to the same standard then.
We can do that for all committees moving forward. That's not a problem.
President Todd.
Yes, ma'am.
I do have a first and a second. And Ms. Zimmerman, do you mind reading your motion again?
Sure. Motion to discontinue the IB program and instruct staff to create a committee of parents, staff, and students.
Oh, please.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Just wanted to make sure I deleted the word instruct staff to create a committee. Go ahead, please.
Of parents, staff, and students to explore options of a signature program and bring back to the board for further discussion and approval.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Todd, for clarification, since it doesn't include the word board in there, are you saying this is still a board committee?
Well, they're going to bring it back to the board as a recommendation, and the law is very clear that they're advising the board.
I agree. If the committee is going to advise the board.
Right. Well, the
then
committee is, if you send one person forward who's part of that committee, they're moving forward on
I
that.
wouldn't disagree with you.
Okay. So it does need
So
to.
everybody understands that.
Got it. No, actually, clarify.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So does that mean they have to follow all the open meeting laws?
Yes, it would just mean that the meeting needs to be posted 24 hours in advance. There needs to be minutes. You need to invite the public to attend the meetings, the committee meetings, and keep minutes of it.
Can we arrange for Mr. Dangerfield or somebody to get with Ms. Boris to make sure they're doing all that in the open so they don't get any trouble? If we vote to approve that way. Okay.
Okay, I just want to be clear though that staff is not held to an open meeting law. It's only the board, correct?
The board is held to the open meeting law, but if it is a committee that is reporting to the board, the law requires that they follow open meeting law.
Okay. And sorry, can I ask one more question?
You may.
Is it your legal opinion on behalf of the board that this committee needs to be a board committee?
It does not have to be, but you would need to instruct the superintendent to direct his staff to have a committee, and that they would report to the superintendent, and then the superintendent would make the recommendation to the board. That would be the difference.
Okay.
It just depends on how you want to go about it.
So I'd like to amend my motion.
You can amend your motion. We'll have to vote on the amendment and then move it forward.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Motion to discontinue the IB program and instruct the superintendent.
Ms. Zimmerman, excuse me. just
Oh,
one
sorry,
second. No,
sorry.
you're okay. Ms. Zimmerman, please go ahead.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion to discontinue the IB program and instruct the superintendent to create a committee.
Hold on, please. The superintendent to create.
A committee
I think how you want to say that is to instruct the superintendent to come back with recommendations. Don't even use the word committee. The
Okay.
superintendent should come back with recommendations about this program.
Okay. Motion to discontinue the IB program and instruct the superintendent to bring back options of a signature program to the board for further discussion and approval.
Okay, do I have a second for that?
Board,
Sorry.
hold on one quick second. Ms. Zimmerman, to bring back options of a signature program.
To the board for further discussion and approval.
Don't we already have a motion and second on the first motion she did?
We do, but she's amending it.
Okay.
So we have to take the amendment, then we'll have to take a vote on the amendment.
I'm going to read this back to make sure I have it correctly. The motion will read, motion to discontinue the IB program and instruct the superintendent to bring back options of a signature program to the board for further board approval.
For further discussion and approval.
Further board discussion and approval. Thank you, Ms. Zimmerman.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question about that motion?
First, we gotta get a second, and then we can discuss it. Do we have a second on the amendment?
I second.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Now we can discuss the amendment.
I guess my question is, does that mean that when they look at the signature program, it doesn't have to be done in the public.
It would mean, yes, it would mean it doesn't have to be a public meeting. It's not required to be at that point, but it never hurts to invite the public to participate.
But nothing's holding, like they can do stuff with that doesn't have to be in the public. They can just come back and say, this is what we decide.
Yes, because your meeting would be a public meeting where you're making the discussion.
Mr. President, may I?
You may.
That's my concern with this motion. We talk about transparency all the time, and yes, we don't want to hold things up, but we have to be transparent. We have to make sure that if we're doing a committee, it's going to be of parents, staff, and student. It's going to be in the public. It's going to be minutes are taken, and it's going to be there instead of, if we don't have a committee, there's no repercussions, I guess, if there's backroom deals, if there's things behind the scenes and things happening. I'm not saying that would happen. I'm just saying we're allowing that as an option. If we say there's a committee, whether it be a board committee or just a committee, at least everything is transparent then. It's all in the public.
Mr. President, if I may.
You may.
Just for clarification, I didn't understand it to mean that we weren't going to have a committee. The way that it was worded just would mean that Superintendent McDonald could be the one to then direct Ms. Boris to create the committee. So she wouldn't have to necessarily do the 24-hour notice, open meeting laws, the more stringent requirements. That doesn't mean there's not going to be a committee and they're not going to be publicly posted and open to everyone to attend. It just removed a little bit of the barrier that would fall on Ms. Boris in order to comply with open meeting law. Because there would still be a committee, but Mr. McDonald would be the one directing her as her supervisor to create the committee, and then she would present the information back to him, and he would then present it to us in an open meeting, in a public meeting.
Anytime the board is referring to it as a committee, then it becomes the board's committee. So you really are giving the superintendent the responsibility to come back with a recommendation.
Correct.
However he likes.
Yeah, we left the word committee out in the motion, so it's not creating a committee.
So it will be up to Ms. Boris and the superintendent to create how this is going to be created, how the ideas are going to come together, and then come back with the recommendations. So it just depends on what the board wants.
Correct, but that could still be a committee. We're just not, we're not saying it has to be a committee. Yeah, I guess that was my point, that we're not saying it's not going to be a committee. We're just not giving,
You're not giving the board stamp of a committee on it.
correct. We're not requiring a committee, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be anyways.
I think the talk of committee multiple times is showing that we're trying to circumvent the law. And we continue to talk about this. I think all of these committees, secondly, this would be curriculum. We've had legal advice on this as a curriculum change, and curriculum change also falls under the public record, open meeting laws.
If this is curriculum, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Part of the curriculum.
Curriculum has to be approved by the governing board, and it has to be it is subject to the open meeting law. If it is curriculum, if that's what we're talking about here.
Or not.
I don't know if a signature program is curriculum or not.
We're going to have to go into executive session to further discuss this. So I'm going to move that we go into executive session pursuant to ARS 38431.03A3. Excuse me, ma'am. Not another word from you. This is a board meeting. You're interrupting the board meeting. Okay. This is not for you to help us understand. This is for the board and legal to work. Okay. We need to go into an executive session. I'm making the motion for ARS 38431.03A3 to get legal advice on this agenda item.
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All right. No discussion. We'll take the vote. Ms. Schmidt.
Nay.
Okay, Board Member Zimmerman.
Nay.
Vice President Kenyon.
Aye.
Board Member Scincioni.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show her an executive session at 7:18 with a 3 yes, 2 no vote. Hello. Oh, here's now. Okay, the time is now 7:40. We're back into general session after getting legal advice on item 6.2. Members, we had a motion, a second, then we had an amended motion and a second, and I think we're going to have to amend again. Ms. Zimmerman, do you want to amend your amended motion? Or would anybody else like to amend it?
Oh, I just was waiting for Miss Camerata. Are you ready? Okay. Motion to discontinue the IB program and instruct staff to create a board committee of parents, staff, and students to explore options of a signature program.
I'm going to let you finish and I'm going to ask you to repeat it.
Okay. And bring back to the board for further discussion and approval.
Okay. Is it the same one?
I just removed the word 3 so that it doesn't limit them or force them to bring 3.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, my only question is, if we don't put a number in there, we could literally just have one brought back to us. Does the board wish to see more than one option brought back?
I would like to have multiple. If 3 is not the right number, I don't want to limit it, but it would be nice if we can explore a couple different programs and not just look at one. So,
Mr. President.
Ma'am.
My concern is that Ms. Boras had said that she had planned to create a program. And I think that it would be a very heavy lift to ask her to create 3 different programs. And so I think that we are, involving ourselves in too much. We are trusting our staff to bring back a recommendation. And I don't think we should have a number.
Mr. President, if I may.
You may.
I agree with Ms. Zimmerman. With them creating the program, I don't want her to put less effort in one just to have to come up with 2. I'd rather be spending all of our energy looking on and making a really good program for us to look at.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't think in my thoughts, we're asking her to create 3 separate programs. In fact, until they come back to the board and get a green light to go, they would only propose ideas of a program. And then once the final idea is selected and voted on by the board, then they would create that program. There's no creation of a program before that because that's not what we're doing. We're saying bring back options of a program that then we can either purchase, create, get a grant for. Maybe it's a free program, whatever it may be. That would be the issue. That allows a committee to come forward. Secondly, if the committee comes together and they decide they don't want to create a program, now we're limited to 1. So if we open that up, they're not creating a program at this point. They're simply coming back to the board for more direction of which way to go from there.
I guess my follow-up question would be when Ms. Boris and her staff comes back with her idea, how in-depth is the board looking for that original meeting of when she's going to show her a program? Are we looking for just a basic, hey, this is what we're looking at? Or are you guys looking at something super in-depth? So I'm worried if we're looking for something super in-depth that first time, that it's going to be really hard for her to put all the effort into that one good program. If we're just saying come back with just some ideas before you actually dig into it, then I'm okay with having more than one idea come back.
That's how I would envision it, because I think they're going to be spending their time researching what's best for their campus and for the district. Our signature programs are part of open enrollment as well. They're kind of catered to a campus, but they are a district-wide program. So as I see it, they would come forward with some ideas and say, there's an idea, 1 or 2 slides to talk a little bit about what that program does. Right now, they're headed maybe in one direction. Maybe a new committee member comes in and has a really great idea and they want to shift to that. Now they got 2 great ideas. So they come to us with 1 or 2 slides, says this is the program, this is an overview. kind of the 30,000 foot view of a program. And then the board says, we think that one is perfect, move that direction, or we think option number 2 is better, whatever that may be. But they're not creating 3 separate programs. They would just be researching them. Just as when we looked at IB or programs in the past, we looked at IB, they looked at 2 or 3 options and then came forward, recommended IB, recommended something else. They didn't go purchase those programs or initialize them. They just brought them forward first.
My only issue with that is when I was military, we had to do course of action. We always made one that we really want look really good, and then we made the other 2 super crappy, so nobody would choose them. And so that's one concern.
I mean, I guess it's always there. I wouldn't expect Ms. Boris or her staff would do something of that nature. I mean, I think they would embrace looking at ideas and coming forward with a couple, more than 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, and bring those forward for us to be able to look at and review.
Can I say something?
You may.
I don't know, I know my program or my slide isn't up, but on slide 6, if you could bring it up for me. I think I hear what you're saying, and I think I understand what you're wanting as far as bringing back what models that we're looking for. So I'm wondering, September to November is when we'll be evaluating the different models or ideas that we are thinking could work to create this unique program for Estrella. So could we plan for in November to bring forth those models that we've evaluated and give our feedback on, we liked program A because A, B, and C, like give that feedback. And then after the conversation, and as you guys give us direction, then in December come back, or even January, like the timeline could be fluid as far as us coming back. But I'm wondering if what you're asking for is that September to November piece of evaluating the models and us coming back to give you that feedback before. So 2 separate presentations, like bring it back and say, this is what we found, this is what could work, these are the 3 things or whatever the number is we have. And then from there, decide when we come back for the committee recommendation and then do more work with whatever the direction is.
So I guess speak on what I'm asking for. I don't know what the models are. You're bringing back a hybrid of something you may have done as one option. Your second option might be aerospace or, whatever it might be. So if you're bringing back a few of those models for different ideas, I just don't want us to kind of groundhog into one idea and just start burrowing into the ground. This is the mission we're on. Let's explore and see what's out there.
Absolutely.
All of our signature programs are unique, and they were all kind of discovered because we went out, said what's out there. And we today may think your idea, and I'm not saying it's bad, is the greatest idea. Tomorrow, you may catch a news flash on your phone, sitting having coffee in the morning, but wow, look at this program they implemented in some other part of the country or world, and say, wow, this might be better. So I don't want to pigeonhole you into one idea if it changes. So if we look at 2 or 3 different ones, you've got a national baccalaureate, maybe you look at business, maybe, or IB's out because we're canceling that program. So that's a bad example, but you have option A, option B, option C. And
So would the board be then comfortable saying that in that November meeting, I don't know what the meeting is, but November, even December, we come back with those models that we've evaluated to present to you as a board, and then after that discussion, come back at a later date, whether it be December or January, of, okay, we took back the feedback and this is what we're recommending as a school option B, which is what we presented before and you guys liked, or whatever that case may be.
yeah, I think that covers it. We're just saying, you're going to come to us with option A, what you're thinking now. Option B, which is what somebody who we don't even know is going to be on the committee yet says, I really think we should do this in the community. And then option C, somebody else who goes, I think this would be a really good fit. Now you explore those. You might look at option C and say that just is financially not going to work for us, or too staff intensive, whatever it may be. And somebody else says, well, what about this? Then you just come forward. So maybe as a committee, you'll have 10 ideas. You'll narrow that down to your top, perhaps 3, bring those to us. And then the board could say, we really like option B. Why don't you go back and do a little more feasibility on B and see if that's really doable. You bring that back to us, and then we say yes, and then you go write that program if it's something you can write. I appreciate you wanting to write the program. I think that's fantastic.
I don't plan on reinventing the wheel by any means.
Yes. But I just wonder as you go through this process if you might find something
Absolutely.
that's ready. And I just don't want to put you into a box where you can't get out of it and we have to change course again.
So are you guys as the board comfortable with me working with Superintendent McDonald on a timeline that would allow us to come back with the models that we've researched and then come back a final time from there with our decision? So maybe the timeline gets bumped back. So maybe January 26th is not necessarily when we begin planning because we may have to come back.
Personally, I think you have to set that. I think it would be at this point unfair for us to say, because I don't know how long it'll take you to do the research. If your committee forms the first time and you find 150 ideas that are great, and you choose to go explore 150 ideas, there's no way you're coming back to us. Now, we may have to come back to you at that point and go, okay, let's scale back 150 to 10. And I think you would do that automatically. But that timeline, if you could just think about it between now and the next board meeting, I would be comfortable with just a staff update to say, here's our proposed timeline to bring it back and gives you a little time to be fair. I don't want to box you into a date that's not attainable. And I don't think that's fair.
And I also just want to say we will not be rushing this. This is not something that I want to say we're not IB right now and we're going to move to something. If we're not ready next fall to launch something, we're not launching it. Right. I'm not doing anything that's not what's best for kids. So know that we'll take our time and be steady and steadfast for kids.
I appreciate that.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. As long as we're not expecting her to try to keep a tight timeline.
I mean, personally, even under just going after one committee, I don't know if that timeline is, if you were just to come back to us with what's just in your mind right now that you've kind of said, I don't know if that timeline's fair. You're going to know that better than, you're going to know that better.
I'll work with Mr. McDonald and we'll come up with something that works well.
Yeah, and that was just my viewpoint. Does any other board member have any more thoughts on that? Yeah. Okay, so I think Ms. Zimmerman said she's fine with the motion as is. Does anybody want to, do I vote on that or do we want to amend it?
Mr. President, I think as long as it's very well understood between Ms. Boris and Superintendent McDonald, I think we can move forward.
Okay. Be great. Then we'll take the vote.
Did we get a second?
I think we did. Did we get a second?
I think I seconded it.
Sorry. We've had so many of them.
a
Okay.
while.
Thank you for that clarification. Ms. Schmidt, are you seconding it?
I'm seconding it.
Okay.
I think I already did, but I will again.
Thought
Yep.
you did. Okay. Ms. Camerata, can you read the motion now since I think we got this narrowed down, make sure we have it right.
Yes, I believe the motion is. The motion is to discontinue the IB program and instruct staff to create a board committee of parents, staff, and students to explore options of a signature program and bring back to the board for further discussion and approval.
Okay. Sounds like what I heard. All right. Got the motion. We have the second. Everybody agrees with that motion. Let's go for the vote. Board Member Schmidt.
Aye.
Board Member Zimmerman.
Aye.
Vice President Kenyon.
Aye.
Board Member Shrunzioni.
Aye.
I'm also, I will show that proof 5 yes, 0 no.
May I say one more thing? I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity and trusting me to lead my staff to make this big change. I know it's lofty. I know it's a big risk, but I just appreciate your guys' trust and know that we will bring something back and make you proud.
Thank you. Appreciate your presentation. Okay, item 6.3, discussion consideration to approve a new partnering school district agreement with Teach in the USA LLC. Mr. McDonald.
Yeah, this is just no cost to the district, just a partnership with these folks to potentially get teachers in high need areas. We partner with one right now. We want to expand our partnership. Doesn't cost it. I mean, nothing to what's the word I'm looking for? No handcuff to the district. It's just an opportunity to potentially get more teachers on J1s or H1Bs if we need them in high need areas.
Mr. President, have you worked with this organization in the past?
I have.
And your experience has been pretty good with them?
Yep, really good. I think any of these J1 and H1Bs, each organization, they only have their hands on so many folks. So it's nice if there's about 4 or 5 out there, that if we can get, if we're working with one, maybe let's say they have 20 candidates, we work with another one this one actually has quite a few, say 50, maybe another one that has 25. Well, we just increased our pool to be able to, if we interview for a position, instead of interviewing 1 or 2, maybe we can interview 3 or 4.
Can I just ask a question on some of these? I think it's the H-1Bs. There's about a $5,000 fee. Is it your idea that the district would pay for that, or the employee that we're bringing over would pay for that?
Normally in an H-1B, and I know, Clyde, you do these with districts, we would be the sponsor. So it would be our responsibility to pay that $5,000. And you could speak a little more if.
That's correct, yes. If you're the sponsoring, the district would be required to pay the fee.
Yep. Now, one way there would always be debate about what teachers we're getting, where we're getting them from, but you also know we do contracted employees for these hard to reach psychologists, resource teachers, a lot of special ed stuff. Those usually come at a price tag of 2 to 1 or 1 to 2. So those are double a teacher for us. And those come from agencies locally or within the U.S. And about out the door is about double, because the agency obviously takes a chunk off the top. Whereas if we were to compare it, I'm not comparing any sort of talent to talent. I'm comparing one to the other. If we say in these hard to reach areas, which we have subs currently in a lot of those classrooms, we could go pay double to get those covered, which we have to get it covered somehow, some way. Or if we were to work with folks in a J1 or an H1B, we pay that $5,000, but they then make our salary. So they're usually a little bit more. We pay an H1B, we pay usually an attorney fee to get their work here, but then they're making normally, in your experience too, our salary.
They're making what?
Our salary.
Yeah, they have to get paid their salary,
Right,
their regular
right.
salary schedule. That is correct.
So I'm saying if we're comparing, if we get let's say we get an H1 and H1B and we pay $5,000 versus contracting this out, which is going to be essentially 200% of our a salary. Everybody following me on that? So in this case, a J1 is only $1,000. They're the sponsor, but in an H1B, it would be our salary plus the $5,000 to be the sponsor. And then the other thing with an H1B, if we go that route, we're a sponsor for 5 years. So, the expectation is they're with us.
For the J1?
H1.
Oh, H1B is actually the first, is 3-year commitment,
Okay.
and it can
be extended.
Extended for 2 more years.
Yep.
Or for 3 more years.
3 more
actually.
years, yeah.
With the J1, it's 3 years plus an extension of 2 years.
Yep.
So how would that look as far as retention goes in the future? We have essentially planned obsolescence with some of that staff. So if we were to hire several of these in the next year or so, and then in 3 years or 5 years, they go back, people see this, do we show that differently in the report that's not going to necessarily affect our retention rate, because that's beyond our control. They have to go back to their country. So I think we need to be able to show that.
For the J1s, they do have to go back.
Right.
H1Bs, you can then sponsor for a green card after that.
Oh, we can?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, currently, it's not like there's no, I don't think, we're not sitting behind closed doors saying, let's just get a whole bunch of these folks in. We're sitting behind closed doors saying, or even open, we'll do it wherever. We have hard to fill positions that are in need of qualified teachers in front of them. And a charge that I take very seriously is that we want to put qualified people in front of them no matter however that looks. I'm not going to say no matter the cost, but there are times where, in the past here, we've had 9, 12 teachers in those positions that are double. So that's one way to look at it. That's 24 teachers if we have 12. So again, this is just an avenue that it potentially gives us some options. I mean, we're still, by no stretch we're not out of the woods. We're still limited, but we want to look at a couple more of these to then give us options so that we, especially in those hard to fill positions. For example, I mean, you all know we have one psychologist right now, and we normally are operating at about 8. So not only is that a huge stress to the system, if we start missing IEPs, now we're in executive session talking about a significant amount of money for years to come. So let alone that we're missing students' IEP. So a lot of that is around filling these hard to reach or hard, tough to staff positions. Now, another piece I know that always comes up in this H1 and J1 is, well, we should just get somebody local and we should get somebody from the US. And the answer is, yeah, we should. And in fact, the law won't allow us to hire outside won't allow us to do a J1 or H1 unless we've proven that we don't have anybody for those positions. So we couldn't, if we have folks, that are qualified and viable, that's who we would hire first. This is kind of our next choice. And from my experience, and I don't know you, Clyde, that I've always had good experience with, with all the H1s and J1s that I've had. And I know, how many do we have currently, Stephanie? 8? Yeah, so it's always going to be a small number, but
Yeah, go
Go ahead, Miss Zimmerman. You've been waiting for a while.
I just have a couple questions. So you said that, we already have an organization that we use. Do we also pay them a fee already?
yeah.
Okay. Is it a comparable? Oh, sorry.
We only pay the fee if we get a teacher. Yeah.
Yeah. But we already are doing that with the J1s we have
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't think we have any H1Bs, right? They're all J1s.
Okay. And is the fee comparable to this one?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
If we sponsor H1Bs, do we have any legal responsibility for that person?
With the sponsor, you have to pay the fee, and you have to pay the cost for the sponsorship with the federal government.
Right.
But also, if you decide you don't need them at the end within the 3-year term, the original commitment is you have to pay for them to get home.
But no, like if they decide to bail and
No, if they leave on their own, it's if you terminate them early.
Okay.
Then you have to pay for them to get back to their country.
But if they overstay visas, we're not responsible for anything.
No, the visas is the process. They wouldn't get here. That's an H-1B visa. That's what the H-1B stands for. And the J-1, those are visas.
No, I understand. I'm saying after they're here.
After they're here, then no. If they stay, that's their response. If they overstay their visa, that's their responsibility, and you wouldn't have anything to do with it because you would end their term. Okay. And what you do is you're required to let the federal government know that you've terminated that arrangement.
Thank you.
Mr. Todd, could I ask a follow-up question?
Okay.
So going to this termination, if we terminate a teacher, we follow the process in which we would non-renew a teacher. Let's say if they're not meeting the, requirements or whatever. If we do that within the 3 years, do we still have to pay for them to go home?
I will have to check that. That's one I don't have the answer to off the top of my head. I think you still do, but I'm not certain. Okay, so but I can find out.
Okay.
Mr. President, if I may.
You may.
I see that this is good to have as a backup. Obviously, it wouldn't be my first choice. My first choice is we get people who know the area, know the laws, know the curriculum. We know they're trained to a certain level. And there's a lot of those questions when you get somebody from abroad, right? I know we've had some great J1s work for us and still work for us today. And so I'm not knocking the program. It's just, I would like this, you know, as you said, it needs to be a last resort thing. Thank you for explaining the finances, because I didn't realize it was that much of a difference. I knew it was a difference, but I didn't know it was that much. You know, I see it as widening the net, I guess, like you said, for those hard to reach staff positions. So I'm okay moving forward with this, getting in this agreement with them. It doesn't cost us anything unless we actually utilize it and find staff through it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I have two quick questions. First of all, how's this company make any money if they're not charging us? Are they getting that from the employee?
Yeah.
Yes. J1 teachers pay a significant fee to the company.
Okay. All right. And then the only other question I have is, given certain things going on with immigration right now, do we have any liability that all of a sudden their visa is canceled by the government and we're halfway through a school year and we've got 8, 9, 10 teachers that are just gone overnight? And is that,
This
a
is
concern?
this is federal law, okay? But of course, Congress could change it, but it's in place, and there's a lot of people here on those visas. So for them to change something that significant would, you know, but Congress can change things.
Right.
But it has been in existence for a long time, and so I think they would probably phase it out over a period of time. But you know, I can't speak for them.
All right. I just would hate for you to have to pick up the phone one day and tell us that 12 teachers are gone mid-year because something.
Yeah, and I think if you look at this just nationwide, if we're saying we have 8 right now, and let's just use that number of 12, you'll have some districts that'll have in the upwards of 800, 1,000. So I think every time I've been around the talk of the H-1Bs and J-1s in school settings, there is an understanding that they fill a huge need in the U.S. for these hard to fill positions that, you know, just like Clyde said, it could happen, but if you look at it nationwide, there are a significant amount of folks placed that would be a real hurt to the public education system all over.
I just want to interject that these teachers are interviewed by our principals also. We do not just place them in schools. The principals get to interview and decide whether they want teachers or not. So we don't just put them in spots at all. So they are chosen by principals to fill positions.
Mr. President, I'm ready to make a motion.
Please do.
Make a motion to approve the new partnering school district agreement with Teach in the USA LLC.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay, with the motion, we have the second to approve item 6.3. That's a new partnering agreement with Teach in the USA LLC. If there's no discussion, we'll take the vote. Board Member Zimmerman.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, I went out of order. Board Member Schmidt.
Aye.
Vice President Kenyon.
Aye.
Board Member Strencioni.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Will show that approved 5 yes, 0 no. All right. Next up, item 7.1, board comments or agenda topic requests.
Mr. Todd.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to have an agenda item on bond spending and what is left after building School 8, and what deferred maintenance, that is a concern, essentially, that we did not get to do. I would also like an agenda item to discuss the electric buses, what is going well, what are any unexpected challenges, and are we actually seeing the savings that we had hoped to see with electric? I know the new special ed director was just hired, but I would like to know what the plan is for psychologists and how we're going to make sure we meet the needs of our special education students. And I'd like an update on the website and when that will be ready to launch.
Okay. Anything else?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I would like administration just to come back to us with just an update on the committees, open meeting law. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Anything else? All right, hearing no more, we'll move to item 8.1, our upcoming board meetings. We've got a special board meeting that is optional on Monday, August 25th, as presented in the updates. If we do not need a meeting, we're not going to have a meeting. We'll know that as we get closer to those dates, but it is a good placeholder for the public and the board to save that date. Special board meeting and regular board meeting, that's basically an opportunity to have a work session before if we need to, and then our regular meeting on September 8th. Another optional special meeting on September 22nd. Same thing on October 6th, the possibility to have a small, short work session and a regular meeting. And then on October 27th, an optional special board meeting if needed.
Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, my concern still is that these meetings
Okay, we need to agendize this.
Okay.
Because we can't discuss this was just for information. But we can add that to your list of agenda. I think I know what you're asking for. You asked it at the last meeting if we need to do these as general meetings, correct?
Yes, according to policy.
That's all I'm trying to keep us out of open meeting with that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but we can't discuss it more than that. Okay, we'll go to 9.1, the adjournment of the meeting. It's 8:12. We'll show the meeting adjourned.